And we are live. Welcome to the MLB Strategy Show Playoff Edition, Tuesday, October 3rd. We are kicking off the MLB playoffs. It is here. We're going to break down these four games. We're going to talk it through, figure out where we want to be, and then we're going to wait it out for the rest of the day until we get to 3 o'clock and we start getting some of these baseball games. If you are here, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me, Josh Engleman, at Josh Engleman on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. I guess X, but sounds better as Twitter. Follow me there. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Had some fun. We're back at it again. Yesterday was light work. No baseball, just one random NFL game. So now we're back to where we want to be. Fun slate. I hate that it starts at 3 o'clock. I thought we would get one at like 12 or 1 and we'd get a little bit better of a spread, but unfortunately, it doesn't appear to be the case. But I have gone ahead. I've prepped this slate out, took a look at some props, loaded everything into the model, ran everything, and have lineups locked and loaded and ready to go. This is where I stand right now, 10:01 a.m. on Tuesday, October 3rd. Also, I got to change that banner that's on the top of the screen because that is incorrect. Give me 1 second. Where are you hiding? Is it this one? Do I have another one up? Ah, there's the problem. Now we're good. Now we got the right one up there. We got a shout out Owners Box for being the sponsor of this show. Got into the top 30 again this week, but still not enough to get it done, unfortunately. Kind of a bummer, but that's okay. That's okay. Now, we're not talking NFL. NFL is on the back burner for a couple days. Although, I don't want to bury the lead of what's going on for today. It is my show today. And then, immediately following us at 11 a.m., NFL Strategy Show. You get Laffy, you get Ben, you get some NFL coverage. But for now, I'm going to take a sip of this lovely iced coffee. And we are going to break down the first game. And that first game is the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Texas Rangers. Tyler Glasnow going for Tampa. Jordan Montgomery going for the Rangers. Glasnow is $9,300. That is $500 cheaper than Kevin Gausman. That's the second most expensive price tag on the slate. Jordan Montgomery coming in $7,100. Only 5% owned. Interesting. Now, I have less than that, so maybe it's not all that interesting to me. We also have Tyler Glasnow on the opposite side, 44% owned. For me, I think Tyler Glasnow is the best option. Little risky, not going to lie. But Tyler Glasnow is the pitcher that I am currently most exposed to. We know that he has massive strikeout stuff. 33% K rate to lefties. 34% K rate to righties. 170 x ISO to lefties, 180 to righties. Can he give up some power today? Yes. But we're in Tampa. So we're in a park that plays down runs and it plays down lefty power. So does that really matter for Nate Lowe or Corey Seager? No, it doesn't. They're going to hit a ball out of any park. There's a lot of power on the Texas side. And righties definitely do touch Glasnow up for a little bit more power. But if the ball stays in the yard, it's really hard for Tyler Glasnow to have like a bad start. He's probably striking people out if he's not giving up any home runs. So I want to go there. I think he's the best strikeout option on today's slate, and that's the guy that I want the most of. I want him more than I want Kevin Gausman. I want him more than I want Pablo Lopez out of the three guys that are in the 9Ks. I'm going to bet on the strikeout stuff here at home against Texas. It is scary, though. It is. We have him 33% top two pitcher. I have it at 45. We want to split the difference, call it 37, 38. Either way, those numbers are coming in slightly below that 44% ownership. Einsteinium, are we going to get all the lineups before the slate starts? No, we're not. I would guess we get the first four and maybe one of the Diamondbacks, Brewers, Marlins, or Phillies. That's my guess. Obviously, I want as many as I can get, but my guess is we have 4 or 5 lineups at lock. So yeah, I like Glasnow. I like the ownership. I don't mind it at all. Montgomery on the opposite side, 7,100. Certainly a price tag that works. Only 5% owned. I think that's probably under-owned. I have his real ownership set around 10%. So it is an interesting leverage opportunity on the opposite end. I just don't think that he looks all that great. Now, Montgomery with the 21% K rate to lefties, no power. Totally irrelevant for right now. It looks like Tampa's going to run out probably 8 or 9 righties. So the righty numbers are what we care about. 21% K rate to righties, 165 xISO. He's kind of just an average pitcher against righties in a situation like this, particularly in the playoffs. So I don't find Jordan Montgomery to be all that interesting. I think there are other places you can go to be different. But that's where the scary part of this game starts to come in as we start to talk about the bats. I'm going to go to Texas first. They are unowned, essentially. 7% in the aggregate. They are dead last in ownership. They're dead last in stack score. They are 6th in our top stack tool and 8th in our top value tool. I have it 8th and 8th, like just straight up dead last across the board here for Texas. There's certainly a path to be had here where you're just on the opposite side of a 44% owned Tyler Glass now. Like, I think Texas is the highest scoring team here, 10% of the time. That's a big percentage for a team that's only getting 7% ownership. So it's not going to succeed a lot, but I wouldn't hate if somebody wanted to go to Texas. I think there are better versions of that further up that still aren't getting any ownership, and that's what we're going to talk about. But for me right now, Texas is a team I do not have. I have 2% ownership going to Texas. The next closest team I have is either the Twins or Blue Jays at 9. So the Rangers are the team I'm not getting to. But like anything here, a talented team against some ownership, I see it. It's, to me, just not good enough. The Tampa side is the side that I think is more difficult to talk about. And the big reason for that is the fact that Jordan Montgomery is a lefty. If we're going to see this sea of righty bats for Tampa, whenever Jordan Montgomery leaves the game, we are now officially we're opening ourselves up to pinch hitters. And I think we're going to get a couple of those. So 3rd in top stack, 3rd in top value. That's where we have Tampa. I have it 5th and 3rd, but we're talking about a difference of 0.8%. They're around 13% to be the top scoring stack. They're just so much more cost effective than the Rangers are. And 2 MPEs in the projected lineup certainly helps for flexibility. They are 4th in ownership at 14%. It's basically what I have. I have about 16%, 26 stacks of Tampa right now. They're the 2nd most owned team that I have. And Junior Caminero is part of the reason why. If he's a 3rd baseman hitting 2nd for 3,200, he's probably the best guy that you can get to because of that price. I'm nervous about the Rays, though, because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If it's going really well for them early, then Jordan Montgomery's going to leave the game and they're going to pinch hit earlier. If it's not going really well against Jordan Montgomery, then that just means the Rays don't have any runs. So I'm going to pay very close attention to what this Rays lineup ends up looking like. And I want to pay very close attention to me getting any sort of extreme values for guys that I think may be pinch hit for. Because those guys, I'm going to make a mild adjustment to just because of this scenario. It's a little bit different when you're facing a lefty. It just makes things a little bit more difficult. Like, I would expect in this lineup that we see a lefty hit for Harold Ramirez later on in the game. I wouldn't be surprised if Curtis Mead gets pinch hit for. Depending on what the game is looking like, I wouldn't be surprised if Christian Bethancourt gets pinch hit for. We need to be aware of this stuff. But as I look at it right now, I want to be right around neutral to maybe a little bit higher on the Rays. The lineup will tell the story. Guy that I have the most of is Junior Caminero. On the Rangers side, the most I have of anybody is 5% Mitch Garver. So there's also that. Man, that coffee just hits the spot. I was outside a little bit. I've got mosquito bites on my legs. I feel like I'm going to rip my legs apart while I'm sitting here. It's so uncomfortable. So very uncomfortable. Best bat on the Rays side is Caminero, as I mentioned. I think Harold Ramirez is too, but I think there's more pinch hit risk there. Semien and Garver, to me, are the two better Rangers options. As I rank this game, it would be Glasnow, Rays, Rangers, Montgomery. Alrighty then. Game 2. We're going to zip through this, but we could talk about like the theory of it all at the end. We got to make sure that we hit on every single team first. So we're going to go Twins and Blue Jays. Pablo Lopez on the hill for Minnesota. The Twins have a 3.8 run implied total. Kevin Gausman on the hill for Toronto, 3.6 run implied total. I guess we'll start on the Blue Jays side. Kevin Gausman is 9,800, projected for 26% ownership. I think that's spot on. I think his real ownership is right at 27. When I ran my top pitchers tool, I got him 32% top 2 pitcher. Our tool, the stochastic tool, also at 32%. I feel dialed in on the value of Kevin Gausman today, and I think he's properly owned. I have 27%. He's 26% owned. That's just where I'm going to be. He's properly owned. I think the opposite side of this game starts to get interesting as well. And like, is there much that we need to say about Gausman? Like, there's a lot of strikeouts in the Minnesota lineup. I got them at a 26% K rate for the game. Gausman's a 30% K guy across lefties and righties. The problem for him is going to be lefty power. So Max Kepler, Kirilloff, Matt Wallner, those 3 guys are going to be a little interesting for one-off homers. But otherwise, you're just expecting to get struck out if you're Kevin Gausman. I think that's the way I look at it, at least. All right. Let's flip to the opposite side here, Pablo Lopez. So we're taking on the Blue Jays. I've got the current Blue Jays projected lineup with a 22% K rate. That's not good. Alejandro Kirk doesn't strike out. George Springer doesn't strike out a lot. Vlad does not strike out a lot, nor does Bo Bichette, really. You're looking to get Brandon Belt. You're looking to get Biggio. You're looking to get Matt Chapman, and you're looking to get those guys basically every time. For the season, 26% K rate to lefties for Lopez, 123 x ISO. For righties, 33% K rate, 126 x ISO. Pablo Lopez on the year has a 130 x ISO or less to both hands. He has not given up power and obviously has no problem striking dudes out. Does somebody want to explain to me why Pablo Lopez is only 19% owned today? Relative to salary, is he not a more interesting play in large field contests than Kevin Gausman? What am I missing here? Am I missing anything at all? Am I wrong? I'm happy to hear that. I think he looks better. I'd like the extra $700 in. Now, I like, it's a worse strikeout matchup, but he, like, the threat level feels just so much lower. I feel like I roster the Blue Jays all the time. If the ball doesn't leave the yard for them, they don't ever score. Strikeout props for this game, I think, is very interesting. Kevin Gausman, over under 6.5, juice to the over. Pablo Lopez, over under 6.5, juice to the under. I've got it Gausman 6.5, Lopez 6. Maybe I'm a little bit light on Kevin Gausman, but as I look at this game with the way that the lineups look, I want Pablo Lopez. Pablo Lopez currently my second most exposed pitcher. I have 36%. It's the 19 that he's getting that's really appealing to me because we've got Zach Wheeler $500 cheaper than Pablo Lopez and more than twice his own. Wheeler at 43%, tied with Glasnow for the top spot. I think Lopez is getting slept on. Is he the worst overall between those 3? Yes. But the relationship between ownership is off. He's not getting enough to me, and I think Wheeler's getting a little too much. So, as I look at this game, definitely leaning more towards the pitching side than the hitting side. Doubling up on ownership on Pablo Lopez, neutral to Gausman. Both guys look good. As we look at the hitting, I'm going to start on the Toronto side. We have them top 5, or we have them 5th in top stack, but 2nd in value. I had it 3rd and 1st. 2nd in ownership at 17%. I am half the field on Toronto. I have 10 stacks, 9%. I'm not surprised by this either. If I'm going to take a double stand on Pablo Lopez, I'm not shocked that I'm also light on Toronto. I think these guys are getting a little bit too much love. What's the upside for the Toronto Blue Jays bats today? Is it taking a pitcher yard that doesn't give that stuff up? What's the goal of the Blue Jays bats? Other than price, why are they second? I just don't see it. To me, this is a natural fade. I don't want to get to nearly as much of the Blue Jays as the public. And like I said, I have 9%. I have 12% of Bo Bichette, 10% of Kirk. I have 9 of Springer, Bell. It's not like I don't have any of these guys, but they're all like 15, 16% owned. That's too much. That's too much. That's way too much. Like, Pablo Lopez gave up 24 home runs across 800 batters faced this year. He just doesn't give up power at all. Just none of it. It just doesn't happen. So I don't want to get to Toronto. If you're asking me who the best Blue Jays bat is, it's either Cavan Biggio or Brandon Belt. But I'm looking more on the Twins side. Now, we have them 7th in top stack, 5th in top value. That is exactly the same rankings that I had. Ownership, 14%. They are 3rd in overall ownership. Now, I'm lighter on the Twins, too, because I still don't like that spot. 10 stacks, 9%. Carlos Correa, the guy that I think is most interesting at 4,300. But I prefer just getting pitching in this one more so to the hitting. Chris Keenan said, how about Semien with good numbers versus Glasnow? I would never, ever, 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 ever look at the numbers of any individual hitter against a pitcher. I wouldn't look it up. I wouldn't know them. I wouldn't want to know them. It wouldn't impact a single thing that I did. That information could not be less important for today. Yeah, as I look at this game, I want the pitching. I think these guys are getting a bit too much ownership as stacks. What's the goal here? I see it for Minnesota. Like, I see it for the Minnesota bats. Because at least Kevin Gausman gives up power to lefties. You know, like, does he strike them out? Yeah. But he's given up a 200 X ISO to lefties this season. Like, that's the only thing that stands out offensively. Like, that's the hole. Lopez doesn't have one. Gausman has it. It's just minimal. You know, you're going to see, what? Yulian, Polanco, Kepler, Kirilloff, Wallner. Those are the lefties that are in the lineup right now. That's the path to the extreme outcomes to me. The lefty power against Gausman. I don't see it the opposite direction. But I don't see it a lot in this start. Like, we haven't talked yet about 3 of the 4 cheapest pitchers. This doesn't feel like a spot where I want to get more bats. Correa is a $4,300 shortstop. Like, I'm not surprised that I think Carlos Correa grades out well. If we just look at shortstops for today, here's why. In the projected lineups right now, there are only 8 guys that can play shortstop. Think about that for a second. There are only 8 bodies that can be rostered. That's 12.5% on average right out of the gate. So I think, you know, you're looking at Carlos Correa at 4,300, hitting 3rd, and it's like, okay. I mean, 3 of those guys that I just mentioned are hitting 8th, 9th, and 9th. Get me the pitching. Now, lineups for this one will be important. We want to pray that we get these before the lock. I don't trust anything on a playoff day. They could be really early. They could be really late. Who knows? Who knows? But as I look at this game, I rank it. Pablo Lopez, Kevin Gausman, Minnesota Twins bats, and then the Blue Jays bats. And that's even with the Blue Jays being 2nd in ownership. Do my projections consider plantar fasciitis for Correa? No. All right, that's 2 games. We've got 2 more to go. We could take some questions and stuff. So for the 200 of you that are here, hit that like button, folks. You gotta hit it. You gotta come join us. Come hang out with us. Twins won a playoff game in 2004. I was 19 when that happened. But we don't need to talk about the Minnesota Twins winning playoff games. I don't care about how good they were when Brad Radke was on the team. Meaningless to me. Fully meaningless. What matters to me? Owner's Box, sponsor of this show. Sign up at Owner's Box using the link in the description. You're going to get two separate things. One from them, one from us. From Owner's Box, you are going to get up to $500, 100% instant match deposit bonus of up to $500. You click the link, you sign up, you put in $500, you'll get $500 in Owner's Bucks. Break that down, trickle out 4.5% every time you use it. You're going to double your bankroll right out of the gate. In fact, I'll show you how easy this is. If I go to convert, I have $111 that are convertible here. Boom. I only have $158 in Owner's Bucks left. I am ripping through it. Didn't pick up the dub this past week, but it's a great contest once again. Overlay once again. You were able to get into a contest that was the best in the industry. And you know what you could have done if you entered that contest? You could have used the NFL Sims Max package that we are giving you if you sign up using the link in the description. That'll cover you for all the lineups that you need to make on Owner's Box, DraftKings, and FanDuel for 7 days. You get it for a week. Hell of a value. That'll cover you for showdowns on DraftKings and FanDuel, the main slate on Sunday for those two sites, and Owner's Boxing. You best believe we're going to be right back into this contest for week 5. It's the best in the industry. Click the link in the description. Sign up at Owner's Box. Get yourself a week of our NFL Sims tool. Use it wherever you want. You're going to love it. I promise you're going to love it. Come check it out. Never stack against a pitcher, right? I don't know what that means. Don't you have to stack against a pitcher every night? All right, game 3. Just how we all drew it up. The most popular team on today's slate, the Milwaukee Brewers. Yeah. 4.6 run implied total for the Brew Crew, 3.5 for the Diamondbacks. Corbin Burns on the hill for Milwaukee. Brandon Pfaadt going for the Diamondbacks. Corbin Burns, 8K. Great spot. Not a great strikeout matchup here. For Burns, not a lot of Ks in this Arizona lineup. Burns striking out 29% of lefties this season. 22 of righties. Now, lefties don't touch this dude. He mows them down, and they don't find him for anything. 0.079 X ISO against lefties this season. Tough spot for Corbin Carroll. Tough spot for Ketel Marte, Alec Thomas, Jace Peterson, Perdomo. Like this on that side. Now, righties, doesn't strike them out as much. 22% K rate. Doesn't really give up a ton of power either. 150 is not crazy. This spot looks really nice for Burns. Mid-tier, 8K price tag. Fits with whatever build you're trying to do. We had him 26% top 2 pitcher. I had it at 29%. That might as well be the same number. I said his ownership should be at 30. It's 33, and I have 34%. I think that explains Corbin Burns really well. He's my third most exposed pitcher. The value is easy to find. The matchup's great. On the opposite end for Brandon Pfaadt, I mean, clearly tough spot. Park plays up power to lefties. Park plays up power to righties. 109 and 110 park factor to both of them. Highest run total on today's slate goes to Milwaukee. And Brandon Pfaadt just naturally has the least amount of talent of any pitcher on this slate by a mile. Strikes out 22% of guys. Gives up a 200x ISO to lefties and righties. I have him in for 4 2/3. That's probably even more that feels like an unlikely scenario. I don't think they just want him to go. You get through like one lap of the. To me, he probably throws. In my mind, you want him to throw 3 innings. You want him to go 1, 2, 3 straight through it, and then get him the hell out of there for the 4th. You don't want him to see people twice. Now, I don't mind getting to him. He's $5,300. That's $1,500 cheaper than Jesus Luzardo is, and I think he should be like 10% owned, but he's 5. I think it's easier to get to Brandon Pfaadt at 5,300 than it is to get to Jordan Montgomery at 7,100. You save $1,800 for the same ownership and basically for the same projection and odds. So do I want him? No. I have 10%. He's 5% owned. This isn't a stand, but he's getting slept on a little bit too much. What we really need to talk about, though, is the clear number one stack. They're number one in top stack and value for us. It was 1 and 2 for me, but they're the number one owned team, 22% owned, and they should be. This is the clear top stack on paper. You can't make an argument for anything else. No MPEs in the lineup is annoying, but the most expensive guy in the lineup is $4,900. So they're also free. And that makes things a lot better. And they're facing the one guy that gives up aggressive power to both hands in a park that takes that power. So you're seeing 25% ownership to Yelich, Contreras, Adames, Turang, Garrett Mitchell. I can't get all the way to the top for Milwaukee, even though they look great. But I don't want to skip them either. 12% ownership for me, 22 to the public, 15 stacks. I will certainly have some representation for Milwaukee, but they're a little bit more owned than I want them to be for today's slate. I think it's, if you're playing the large field relay throw type contest, I think, you might not want to get all the way to the 22%. I can see the path where you want to go even above that number. Similar story here. I'm just going to end up being a little light. I'm going to go the other direction. Even though I am getting to Corbin Burnes, and everything I said at the beginning was just like, I like Corbin Burnes. I'm trying to win a contest. 4th in top stack, 6th in value, 6th in ownership at 8%. Stack score about 12%. The Arizona Diamondbacks are under-owned in this matchup. They also get the benefit of a park that plays up power to both hands. They certainly have it in some of these guys, and Carroll, Marte, Walker, Gurriel. Some of these guys, maybe not so much. And they're expensive, too. You're getting a $6K Corbin Carroll in a spot where lefties don't really hit for power. You're getting a $5,300 Marte, a $5K Christian Walker. So you do have a little bit more to pay for. But I don't think these guys are getting represented enough. And as much as, I like Corbin Burnes, if he's in 33% of lineups, you're creating a little bit of leverage on the opposite side. I have 26 Arizona Diamondbacks stacks, 14% in the aggregate. So about 6% more than the public. This is a spot that I'm going to end up just because of the park and because of the ownership for Burnes. But Fat doesn't have good stuff, Eric. If Brandon Fat had good stuff, why doesn't he strike anybody out? That would be my question. If he has good stuff, why does he K 22% of batters and give up a ton of power? It doesn't seem to be, that good stuff doesn't seem to be doing anything. We're talking about a guy that doesn't really do that. He's average at best. Look, there's a reason that the Brewers are the highest owned team. Fun game, though. Ranking the game is where it gets tricky. I have to say Brewers first, but in terms of large field contests, I'd like to be somewhere else. Corbin Burnes 2, Diamondbacks bats 3, Fat 4 for sure. If you want to flip-flop Brewers bats and Burnes, I get it because of that price tag. All right, let's look at something quickly, just in case. By game, rolling average, and let's pick strikeout rate. Yeah, has been better, a little bit better as of late. Still not a believer though. Nor am I a believer because of the odds of this game. Let's see. What's the strikeout prop on Brandon Fat here? Strikeout prop is 4.5 juiced to the under, minus 136 to the under. Fat's alternative strikeout numbers. You're looking for, you get to 6 or something. That's probably pretty crazy. Plus 240, plus 106 to get 5 or more. I don't love it. I think you need a different lineup. If the lineup looks like I have it right now, Those first 5 guys just don't K enough. Yeah, in fact, he does have the shortest leash today. He's gone the moment he gets into any trouble. And that's the real issue there. Interesting game, though. Look, I don't want to like oversell it or anything. Every piece of today is in play. Every pitcher should be owned. Every hitter should be owned in a like decently sizable amount. 5 to 10% across the board. Yeah, he's not going to have any playoff jitters. That's not going to be a thing. Save myself some work today, Kareem. Give you the favorites now. That work's long done, dude. That's been out for 2 hours. I needed that message. I needed that message at 8 a.m. Yeah, Kareem, those go out first. On days that I don't have NFL stuff, favorites are already out. Fun game though. Fun game. Yeah, the relay throw is probably pretty close to filled if it isn't already. Yeah, it's up to 10,400. So there's only about 1,000 entries left. I'm taking that contest down, man. I need one. Been a minute. All right, hit that like button, folks. Got to run that number up a little bit higher. It would help me out at least. Nope. Justin Sports, you're not. That's going to be me. You can have second, though, if you want. It's up to you, though. I don't think it's that tough. I don't think it's that tough to get different with the Brewers. Yeah, Hector, I was hoping they were going to do 100K for today, especially with no NFL. I think the start time, the 3 o'clock start time, made it a little bit problematic. If they went off at 7, I think we'd have 100K. But we don't. And that stinks. It does. It really does. I want to hit on one more thing here. I haven't had a chance to talk about this yet, but link in the description of this video. Bet365 is now in Iowa. And if you're in Iowa, you should be taking advantage of this one. Click the link in the description. If you're looking to get into sports betting, this is the spot that you're looking for. Because if you bet $1 signing up after you click that link. Now, this is only Jersey, Colorado, Ohio, Virginia, Iowa, Kentucky. So I'm talking to a very narrow band. You bet $1 at Bet365, you will get $365 in bonus bets. It's an incredible, think about that. Bet a buck, get $365. Now, you got to be in one of those states for sure. But you want to take advantage of this deal if you can. Legal age for gambling in most states is 21 or over. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, here we go. Final game. Phillies and Marlins. 4.2 run implied total for the Philadelphia Phillies. 3.4 for the Marlins. Zach Wheeler going for Philadelphia. 8,600 projected for 43% ownership. Yikes. Jesus Luzardo going for the Marlins. 6,800 projected for 25% ownership. I'm going to start with Luzardo because I think it's the easier spot to talk about. He's 25% owned. We have him 23% top 2 pitcher. I had it 16. I'm a little bit lighter on Luzardo. I have 15%. I think he should be about 20% owned. He's in that range, but I'm just a little hair lighter. Don't have much to say here. Luzardo is a guy with massive strikeout stuff. Lots of problems with righty power. This is a park that plays up power a little bit. Boom bust spot for Luzardo. It's the Wheeler side that I think we need to talk about. And this is where I am getting my leverage because I am ending up on the Marlins bats. That's what's happening for me today. Marlins bats. But let's talk about Wheeler. 8,600, so $500 cheaper than Pablo Lopez. 4th most expensive pitcher on the slate, but basically the highest owned pitcher. Now, we're not in Miami, we're in Philadelphia. This is a park that plays up power to righties, plays up power to lefties. To righties, I don't think it matters all that much. Zach Wheeler has given up a 0.099x ISO to righties with a 32% K rate. It's going to be tough sledding for the righties for the Marlins. And it's going to be tough sledding for the lefties too. He does not give up power to lefties. 140 x ISO. But he only strikes out 22% of lefties. Luis Arias hitting lefty in the leadoff spot. 7% projected K rate against righties. He's basically like 0% to K. So I'm sure he's going to do it to lead off the game. You'll also get Josh Bell from the left side, Chisholm from the left side, Jesus Sanchez from the left side. If they can get one more lefty bat in here, it's really going to limit the Zach Wheeler strikeouts. And that's where I think it starts to get interesting. And this is why I think I like Pablo Lopez so much. Strikeout prop today for Zach Wheeler, over under 6.5, juiced to the under. To the under. So I got him at like, 6 is basically where it should be. That's the same strikeout prop as Pablo Lopez. Again, I want everybody to hear this. The strikeout props that you can bet today are the same for Pablo Lopez and Zach Wheeler. But Lopez is 19% owned and Zach Wheeler is 43%. I think we're missing something here. And that's why I like a little bit more Lopez. And that is why I'm light on Wheeler. It's not about Wheeler himself. It's about how everything else works around him. I don't like being light on him. I think he's really good. Like at some point in time, you're taking stands against ownership somewhere. Wheeler is the guy that I'm taking the stand against. And what that's doing is it's causing me to get to the Marlins. We have them 8th in top stack. Now, I had them 4th, which, if I'm being honest, feels incredibly incorrect. But there's not a lot of separation on these teams. Like, I also have them tied with the Rays and basically tied with the Diamondbacks. So it's a bigger conversation there. There's a lot of power in this Miami lineup, and that's the piece that I have my eye on. Jorge Soler against righties via steamer projects 227 ISO. Bell is at 185. Chisholm and Berger are both over 200. Jesus Sanchez is over 200. It's all about the dingers here for Miami, folks, but that's what you're playing for. And on this short slate, with all of that power, I'm taking my chances that it happens because there's no ownership here. 7.5% owned, 10.5% stack score. I'm like 2 or 3xing the field here. Now, do I think I need 39 Marlin stacks and 24% of them? Probably not that much, but this is the spot that I'm getting to the most. It's the most different. That's what we're talking about. They're 7th in ownership. I'm going up against the most popular pitcher on today's slate, but I think he's a little bit more popular because he's 8,600 than because he's that good today. He projects for like 20 fantasy points. I don't want to undersell him, but I'd rather just go to Lopez and figure it out after that. So that's the way I'm looking at this matchup. As I look at the Phillies side, I think they're like average-ish. I don't mind going up against Luzardo here. They're 2nd in top stack, 7th in value, 5th in ownership, and 5th in stack score. I have 15%, 24 stacks. They're 11% owned. I just want some of Philly. There's too much power in this Philly lineup in this park against Luzardo for me to ignore it. So the guy that I have the most from Philadelphia is Schwarber, or whatever that Christian dude is at the Pache, 2100. He's just cheap. On the Marlins side, I want Jazz Chisholm in a big way. Josh Bell too in a big way. There's just so much power there. Oh, Wheeler's under 6.5 at Fliff. Yeah, that's not going to matter to me. I wouldn't look at that line. I also don't really care what the juice is. It's just like a visual indicator here. They're player props. It doesn't really matter. It's not like the limits on these things are 20 grand. But it is good for outside sources to sort of show what my model shows, because the model has nothing to do with those projected lines. Alrighty, guys. 4 games up, 4 games down. Questions for today's slate. And yeah, reminder, Ryan Nelson, basketball's coming soon. God, these bug bites are killing me, man. 293 people in the house. Damn, I should have went live at 2 o'clock. Right. Cheers, you guys, with a little bit more coffee. Let's see. What's my highest ranked lineup right now? Let's see what I have ranked number 1. Wow, it's taking forever to just filter. Number 1 stack for me today. What is my lineup? My highest ranked team is a Glasnow Lopez Marlins stack. Makes sense. Top bat. I assume you mean like individual bat, which is a tough way to answer that question because it's baseball and there aren't any. But we can do it because we got tons of time. So we'll go to the table of all things bats. I think the best bat on today's slate, if he is hitting second, is Junior Caminero, 3,200, highest implied ownership. Second, and probably the most popular real option, would be Christian Yelich, 4,900. Favorite one-offs? I can just tell you the guys that I have the most as one-offs. That's going to be Caminero, Chisholm, Correa, Josh Bell, Kyle Schwarber, John Birdie. Which Marlins hitter am I getting the most? Jazz Chisholm. I'm like 80-20. 5-man stacks to 4-man stacks. It's like 125 5-mans to 25 4-mans or something in that neighborhood. Mostly 5-mans. Best cash plays under 4K. Let me add some coloring here so I can get a better look. Bryce Terang for sure. Cavan Biggio for sure. Junior Caminero, absolutely. Mark Canha. What are some of the names you got? How many innings does Luzardo go? 4? 5? Something in that neighborhood? Something in that neighborhood, at least. My guess. He is projected for, the line is set at 15.5 outs, shaded to the under. I agree, Chris Raptor. How do you like Rays under? I don't, sorry, Jeff. I'm not going to be any help for betting. I don't bet baseball, but MLB sides and totals in the playoffs, I would guess that every single one of those shouldn't be touched at all. I assume that every one of those is a horrid bet. Whether you like the over, the under, or either team, I have no interest in MLB sides and totals right now. Day of games, 3 hours out. Smartest way to get different. You don't have to go too crazy. I don't think that there's like a smartest way to do it. You can play a really good Brewer stack and then have like, you know, Jordan Montgomery as a pitcher. Top SP1 and 2 and stack on DK. Well, sorry, ice in my mouth. Nobody wants that. The Marlins are the team I have the most, but I'm not going to advocate for the Marlins being the best stack. In my opinion, the combination of pitching that I want is Tyler Glasnow, Corbin Burns, or Tyler Glasnow, Pablo Lopez, depending on salary. That's my preferred. Glasnow 1, and then Lopez, Burns, depending on your salary structure. My favorite stack is probably the Phillies, all things considered, in terms of like skill set, ownership, etc. It's a fun slate. It really is. I really, really, really hope that we can get enough lineups at lock. That is my prayer right now. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. But we'll see. What catcher am I getting the most of? Okay, we can take a look at that. Most exposed catcher. Very balanced. 19% going to Nick Fortes. $2,600 9-hole hitter that isn't very good for the Marlins. I basically just don't have Jonah Heim. Otherwise, it's kind of flat. William Contreras is your best option. Well, guys, I think that's it. I don't think I have anything else. Reminder, NFL Strategy Show coming up next, 11 a.m. You get Lofty and Ben. 300 people here is awesome. Don't forget to sign up for Bet365. Banner at the top of the screen is what you're looking for. Owner's Box is the sponsor. You're going to get up to $500 on that first deposit. And the big one, 1 week of our NFL Sims Max package. Guys, good luck today. We're back tomorrow. We're doing it again. We'll be here on Thursday as well. No baseball on Friday. But you'll get me tomorrow and Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern time for the Strategy Show. Good luck, boys and girls. You're playing for second, though, tonight. A 50K is mine in the relay throw. But I'll allow you guys to have second. Have some fun. I'm out of here. Peace.